Hey guys, Joe here. Welcome back. Got another Dragon Ball FighterZ video for you today. This one ain't gonna be too crazy though. So, the premise of today's video is to kind of go over some changes I made to the list of changes that I personally would make for Captain Ginyu. Why am I doing this? Simply put, because I wasn't happy with the changes that I originally had listed out, and so I went back to that list and made some adjustments. And today, I'm gonna take this video to go over all of those changes before I, talk about any other changes coming down the line in the second half of the patch review series. So, with that said, let's go over all of Ginyu's changes, or at least the ones that have changed. But before I get into everything that's on the list, I first want to talk about the removals from the list. The two removals from the list consisting of the change to body change and his A assist. Now, if you need a refresher as to what those changes were, check out the Ginyu patch review video, because all the changes I had listed off that I'd personally make to him, all of those, the older list, that was in that video. This video is going to go over the new list. And two of the things that got removed were the changes to body change and A assist. The reason I got rid of the change to body change was because I don't honestly think body change should cost more than 3 bars. And the additional input, I still believe it should cost a full bar, not half a bar. So that aspect hasn't changed. And as for A assist, after it was buffed in patch 1.4, 1.40, I think. Yeah, after A assist was buffed in patch 1.48 to have more block stun, I decided to just call it there. I felt that assist didn't need any more, and it was pretty much perfect as is. It is an incredibly good lariat assist, and I don't think it needs any more than it's already got. Alright, so with that all said and done, we can now get on with the actual list. So, let's get started. Okay, so let's start off with the auto combo changes, which, for those of you who don't remember, let me give you a refresher. As it currently stands, and let me also do this.
Maximum power!
Let me also do that so we don't have any issues. The first changes were to the last hit of Ginyu's auto combo, which, as it currently stands, does this. It has a vacuum effect. And as I said in the patch review for Ginyu, I said I wanted that removed, and I still stand by that. But in its place, I think that the last hit of auto combo should be cancelable into both of Ginyu's grounded heavies on block. So, in regards to the last hit of Ginyu's auto combo, all the changes I had before still stand. So, as I said before, that vacuum effect should go, and the ability to cancel into both grounded heavies should be applied. Why? Because one of Ginyu's biggest strengths is his pressure and his mix. And being able to have another tool to utilize in his pressure strings would be really good. So, yeah, I still stand by that change. Next up is 5H, another move I wanted to see changed. Now, if you remember the Ginyu patch review video, I said that I wanted to see 5H be able to attack whilst in the air. That change, and any change correlating with it, has been scrapped. Purely because 5H already does a lot, I don't think letting it do something like that would be a good idea. So overall, getting rid of it was for the best. However, 2 changes out of the changes I listed off have remained. Those being the increase to the distance the attack travels, as well as the movement speed of the attack when the opponent is in hit stun. Those 2 changes have stayed pretty stagnant. They have not changed at all. However, I have noticed that there might be a problem if, with these 2 changes in particular. That being, certain combos for Ginyu might be altered in regards to timing the 5H if they were applied. Which, in the case of a certain mid-screen combo, it could be troublesome. Very troublesome. Hell, in the case of any mid-screen combo that might utilize 5H, it could be troublesome. So, in regards to the mid-screen combo that I'm referring to, which is one of his BMBs, by the way, it looks something like this. So hypothetically speaking, let's say Captain Ginyu's 5H received those 2 changes. There could pose a problem in regards to having to readjust the timing of the move for certain combos, just like the one I showed you. Thankfully, I have a solution to alleviate that issue. The solution being to slow down the move by holding down while doing 5H. So that when the opponent is in hit stun, instead of going faster, it'll instead go at this speed. Simple as that. Then, you wouldn't have to worry about readjusting the timing of the move for certain combos. Now, yes, it would take a little bit to adjust to that, but thankfully it wouldn't be too difficult. And now we come to the last change that I would make to 5H. And the only other change to remain stagnant. This. I still want that removed. I still genuinely think that 5H into Dragon Rush should be removed from the game. Why? Let me show you why. That's why. EX Lariat. EX Lariat now has plus frames.
Maximum power!
It is plus 10 on block. And not only are you plus, you can immediately act out of it. Like so. I much prefer this over being able to do 5H into Dragon Rush. Because even for as good of an option as this is, at least it's still punishable if you're not careful. And it comes at a cost, which is meter. So, I definitely think that 5H into Dragon Rush needs to go so that EX Lariat changes can stay. Because I much prefer the changes to EX Lariat, and this being Ginyu's best way of opening up opponents rather than this bullshit. I just don't think it should be in the game still. I'm sorry, but EX Lariat is the better opener. 5H into Dragon Rush is just fucking stupid. And I don't think Ginyu should have that. So, to summarize, my 4 changes to Ginyu's 5H would be to increase the distance the move travels, increase the movement speed when the opponent is in hit stun, allow the player to slow down the movement speed when the opponent is in hit stun by holding down, and remove 5H into Dragon Rush. With these changes, I genuinely think that not only 5H would become a better combo move, but I also think that it would be a lot less BS to deal with the removal of 5H into Dragon Rush. Speaking of EX Lariat, actually, let's talk about that real quick. So, EX Lariat, as you are probably aware because I mentioned it already, it is really good now on block. Because not only is it plus,
Maximum power!
but it also has insane pushback. And on top of that, you are actionable again after this. So you could just call out a summon, or if you really want to,
Maximum power!
you could go in with a button of some kind. Or even another lariat. Or, let's say if you really want to get crazy, right? So, you have options,
Maximum power!
right? So, that, I think, is a really cool aspect to the move. And in addition, if you get a hit with this fucking thing mid-screen, you get a guaranteed combo, which I've already showed you one, but let me just show you another for the hell of it. You can do stuff like that. Just as an example. I'm not going to go too crazy with it, but just to show you an example. So, EX Lariat is really good. It is very, very good. However, there is just one little thing about it that I think needs to be changed. And that's this. If you land a hit from full screen with this move, you get a guaranteed confirm. No ifs, no ands, no buts, nothing. You just get it, period. And not gonna lie, I think that's pretty ridiculous. Ginyu should not be able to confirm from full screen with a move this fast and this powerful. So, here's what I would change with the X Lariat. The first thing would be to reduce the distance the move travels to half screen.
Maximum power!
At least when the opponent isn't in hit stun. If the opponent is in hit stun, then I definitely think letting this move go full screen is a good idea. So, to summarize, outside of hit stun, the move should go only half screen. But when the opponent is in hit stun, the move should go full screen, making it a solid combo tool. And I think that's all that's really needed for EX Lariat, personally. Alright, now, let's talk about the summons. Thankfully, not too much has changed in regards to the summons, but I still feel it's necessary to bring it up. So, starting with Goldo, I still think his 5S should be visually changed to be the tree instead of the rock. And I say this because, I don't know, I think the move personally should be anime accurate, but that's more so a nitpick than anything. So, just to be nitpicky, I think Goldo's rock should be replaced with the tree. And there's another reason for that. The other reason for that being, well, I want Goldo to have a new move. And speaking of that new move, if there were to be a new move added, it would need its own input. So, since the 236S and 214S inputs are preoccupied, as I mentioned in the patch review video, what I would do to fix that is take the 214S variant of paralysis and move it to the 236S input and apply a second button press to it, as I mentioned in the patch review. This way, both versions of paralysis are attached to one input, leaving the 214S input completely free for a new move. That new move being Psychic Rock Throw from Budokai Tenkaichi 3. I go into more detail about it in the the video, in the patch review video, but some things with the move some things with how the move works has changed since last time. First and foremost, the amount of damage the move does, I have changed to be 700 damage instead of 900 damage. So instead of doing 600 damage on the first hit, it would instead do 400 damage. In regards to the meter build for the move, I would also reduce that to 30, 15 per hit. And last but not least, I would also change the block stun to be 40 frames of block stun, 20 frames per hit. So this way, the move isn't like completely ridiculous. It builds just the right amount of meter, does the right amount of damage, and has the right amount of block stun. And I think the amounts I changed it to are perfect for a move like that. So, no notes. Now let's talk about Birder, because Raccoon wasn't on the list. Anyways, Birder. So Birder has definitely got some changes in regards to this list of personal changes since we last saw him. So let's start off with the first changes, which are to both 5S and JS. Now, for those of you who don't know how this move works, let me show you. So the way 5S works, and this also goes for JS, is that Birder will always spawn closer to Ginyu and then travel towards the opponent, like so. Now, in regards to how the move fares with tracking, the way the tracking of Birder's Flurry Kick works is, depending on where Ginyu is, Birder will pretty much spawn wherever he is. So, if Ginyu's on the ground, he'll spawn on the ground. But if Ginyu's in the air, regardless of where he is in the air, he will spawn directly in front of Ginyu. So, regardless of where you are or how high you are on the screen, Birder will spawn directly in front of Ginyu at the exact height that he is currently at, and at the exact position that he's currently at. So Birder's tracking is relegated specifically to Ginyu and where he is positioned. And when it comes to, you know, other aspects of Ginyu's game plan, I'm completely fine with that. In regards to his combo game, however, that's where the problems begin, for me at least. Because I should be able to do something like this mid-screen and be able to convert. Now, I'm not too sure about this, but I feel like I should be able to do that too. And as for this, I feel like I should be able to pull that off as well. So, while I can't do that, I can convert mid-screen through a very simple and very well-known Ginyu BNB, which goes like this. You've probably seen it before. I've showcased it in my Ginyu combo guide, and I'm sure you've probably seen it in other Ginyu combo guides that have come out long before mine. So it's that specific BNB is nothing new. However, like I said before, that's the only way you can convert with Birder's 5S or JS mid-screen. You can't do it in any other way. And like I said, you can't even do it with the medium auto combo like you can with Goldo. However, whilst you can't do that mid-screen, you can do it in the corner. In the corner, that confirm connects. But while that is great, I do feel it should be. I do feel Birder should be able to confirm. You should be able to confirm out of Birder's 5S after doing the medium auto combo. Not just in the corner, but in mid-screen. So, the first change I would like to bring up in regards to Birder are for his 5S and JS. The change in question is as follows. When the opponent is in hit stun, Birder should fully track the opponent depending on where Ginyu is positioned. So if Ginyu's on the ground and you're doing a grounded start to the combo, Birder should spawn directly where the opponent is currently at. So let's say I do EX Lariat, for example. Birder should spawn directly in front of the opponent. Or let's say I do this. Birder should spawn directly next to the opponent. And the same goes for JS, which I would also give this exact same change. If the opponent is in hit stun, Birder should spawn directly next to the opponent. Which means if I were to do this simple BNB, instead of only one hit connecting, all 4 hits would connect, because Birder would be spawning right next to the opponent. This change, I think, would help to make 5S and JS much stronger combo options. And yes, these are pretty much just combo changes for 5S and JS, but I think they definitely could use them. Not to say that Birder's 5S is useless without them, but I definitely think it would go a long way. Now let's talk about Birder's 236S. I went into an exhausting amount of detail with this move in my patch review video for Ginyu. So to summarize what I said there, I said that both versions of the move should be in the game. And there should be 2 different versions relegated to specific use cases. Version 1 would be the all-around use case. Version 2 would only be used in combos when the opponent is in hit stun. And when I made that video, I said that version 1 should be the older version of Birder's 236S, which was last seen in patch 1.33, while the newer, or rather more current version of the move, which was introduced in patch 1.38, should be relegated to only being used in combos. I have since changed my mind about that, and now I believe that the current version of the move should be version 1, while the older version of the move should be version 2. In addition, I also think that the older version of Birder's 236S should have increased hit stun by 20 frames, making the combos relegated to that version much easier to confirm and, perform. So to summarize, all I did for Birder's 236S was swap the versions. So now the current version is version 1, while the older version is version 2, and the older version, which is version 2 now, should have increased hit stun by 20 frames to make performing the combos relegated to it much easier and more consistent. Christ, that was exhausting. That didn't even take that long to explain, and I'm fucking beat. But that's also probably because it's fucking summer and it's hot out, and my room is an incubator. But that's besides the point. Point is, both versions of of Birder's 236S, fastest in the universe, should be in the game. One should be the all-around use case, and the other should be the combo use case. Why? Because Ginyu combos are cool, and I miss Ginyu's older combos, and I would love to see them be brought back into the game without having to replace the newer combos that you can do with the current version, as well as being able to make even newer combos with, all these other changes I have lined up. Speaking of other changes I have lined up, let's talk about Jace. Now, Jace is in a very similar place to Goldo, where not much has changed. In fact, nothing has changed. Kind of. So I still personally would move the 236S version of Purple Comet Attack to the 214S input and apply a second button press. And as for the 236S input, I would apply a new move. That move being the full power energy wave from Budokai Tenkaichi 3, which I would redub the Red Magma Cannon. In the patch review video, I simply called it the Magma Cannon, but recently I renamed it to the Red Magma Cannon because it makes a lot more sense, and it just sounds better. As for how the move functions, and by move I mean obviously the full power energy wave, aka Red Magma Cannon, only two things have changed: the damage it deals and the meter it builds. The damage has gone down from 800 to 600, and the meter gain has gone down to plus 20. So now it only deals 600 damage and provides only 20 meter, which honestly I think is much more reasonable. And yeah, that's pretty much all I gotta say for Jace. So that pretty much covers all the summons. So now let's get on to the supers and assists. Thankfully not much has changed, so I'll keep this brief. Starting with supers, I think that both level 3 supers should have their inputs changed. So body change should be quarter circle back H and S, and the Ginyu Force level 3 should be quarter circle back L and M. And that's pretty much it for that. So now let's move on to the only two assists to get changed, B assist and C assist, since I removed the change to A assist as mentioned earlier. Starting with B assist, if you want to learn more about how I would change B assist, check out the patch review guide for Ginyu. I'll leave it in the description. And I'll definitely have to go into the Ginyu patch review and kind of apply some timestamps so you know which section to go to. But in regards to B assist, the only thing I changed was reducing the amount of meter built when using the assist. I reduced it from 50% to 30%. So now you build less, which, considering what the assist is capable of, I think it's fair. And last but not least, the C assist is pretty much the same. The only difference is I would not make it 4 hits. I would keep it at 3 hits as it is currently. So the second hit of the move would have the vacuum effect on block, not the third hit. So it wouldn't be a third hit, it would be a second hit. And on block, it would have the vacuum effect that the auto combo currently has, allowing you to steal the corner. And that's it. That's all the changes. And that brings us to the end of the video. Now, before I do my usual outro, I do have something I would like to announce. I'm making a third Ginyu combo guide video. One based entirely around one specific change made in patch 1.40. And that's this. Most of the combos, if not all of the combos in that video, are going to surround that one change. And I'll go more into it when I get to that video, so stay tuned for that. But yeah, once that video comes out, it's right back to the patch review series. And we will be going over all of the DLC characters. So stay tuned for that. But yeah. That pretty much does it for this video, so thanks for watching, guys, and until we meet again, I will see you all later. Take care of yourselves, don't do anything stupid, and yeah, that's it. Thanks again for watching, and I'll catch you guys later. Bye.